We got a 1969 Chevrolet C10 that we're going to be ripping the carburetor out and replacing with a Holley Sniper 2 EFI system. Now don't get me wrong, carburetors have their place. I've had a carburetor on my 383 stroker motor that was in my Camaro, worked super great. This customer of mine, he really wanted to just simplify the truck. He just wants to get in, turn the key and go. It's got Small Block Chevy, 350 in it, fancy manifold, it's got some aluminum heads, probably has a cam, all that good stuff. Even still has AC on it. We might even do some brake upgrades. As you can see, this master cylinder has seen, better days. Might even do a disc brake conversion in the back because it's got drum brakes. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and start converting this motor from carburetor to the Holley EFI system. Now, I don't want to make this too much of a how-to, but I'm going to tell you the steps that I did before I'm even going to get into this prep-wise, so I know everything is going to function correctly, and then we're going to get the right tune because we're going to actually use the Holley self-tune system to get this motor running correctly. So to get it running correctly, what I did is drained all the gas, because the gas that was in it, it sat in it for quite some time, and I wanted to make sure it had fresh gas in it for the self-tuning system in Holley would have an accurate reading. I also am going to replace the spark plugs. I haven't replaced them yet, but I am going to replace the spark plugs with all new plugs to, again, help the Holley system learn its new tune. When I really started inspecting everything else, I also did take a timing reading. So I made sure that the engine is, timed correctly, which it is. I also drove the truck around, made sure, that it runs, fairly decent and stuff like that before we start making any kind of conversions. Got it up to operating temp, and the engine seems to run okay. But I also found that one of the spark plug wires got a nice little burn through touching the headers. That is definitely going to need to be replaced. I already ordered the wires, so they should be here very, very soon. But in the meantime, I can still be working on taking the carburetor off and putting the new EFI, I don't know, we can't call it carburetor, whatever, Holley Sniper onto the motor. So let's get started. Got the carburetor off, disconnected, the vacuum line for the distributor. This thing, I'm not entirely sure what the heck this thing is. I think it's like it connects to the wiring system of the fans. I don't know. Whatever the heck that is, we'll reconnect it. Got the throttle linkage off. Got the kick down for the transmission off. Put some masking tape on the manifold because I really don't want anything to fall down there while we're working on this thing temporarily. There was the original gas line that I actually just have crimped off. Probably didn't need to crimp it off, but you know what? I don't want to spray gas everywhere. Before I started working on it, obviously disconnected the battery. Also, I got done swapping out all the spark plugs in the motor, and I'm really, really glad that I replaced the spark plugs because they definitely did not look happy. I mean, I've seen worse. This isn't too terribly bad, but they definitely reek of gas, and you can kind of even see the tip of the spark plug itself is pretty wet, but this thing definitely was running pretty fat. And when I say fat, running rich, when you say it runs rich, it's getting too much gas. The Holley Sniper EFI is definitely gonna solve that because it's basically gonna be taking the wheel of all that stuff. Took the masking tape off, made sure to clean this, get any dirt or any crap off the top of this, obviously making sure nothing falls in there. The kit came with a new gasket, so we're gonna go ahead and put that on there. Doesn't feel like it's overlapping into the manifold. Fits in there nice. All right, got our Holley Sniper, I don't know what they call this, throttle body, EFI, whatever. We got that thing on the motor. Looks super, super nice, but what I'm gonna check right now is make sure that our butterflies seem happy, like they're not doing anything weird, hitting the manifold, hitting the gasket, and it looks like they're opening and closing really, really nice. So mechanically, we know that this is good to go. All right, got the throttle linkage hooked back up, got the kickdown cable right here hooked back up. For the brake booster, as you can see, there's that line, goes down to here, and then this one is reading for vacuum gauge inside the truck. And then this was the choke wire right here for the choke, the electronic choke on the carburetor. We don't need that anymore. I'll probably get rid of that later when it comes down to wiring. But as you can see, we got a couple of different wires here going on. This I know for a fact is a coolant wire. Then we got some other more wires that I gotta hook up. So we'll start doing some wiring, maybe some plumbing. Not sure exactly what I want to tackle just yet. All right, so I'm gonna start getting into the wiring. This is our main harness that you see right here. This is like your input-output harness. And then this right here is for the O2 sensor that you see here that I got plugged in, and then coolant. I have the O2 sensor plugged in right now because I wanted to see, you know, how much cable I had. I can route it back down there so I can grab one of the exhaust pipes. They gave me a cool little bracket that will let me attach the O2 sensor, and one of the exhaust tubes will be most likely this bank right here, so driver's side bank. But let me go ahead and get the truck lifted up onto the lift. Now that we got the truck up in the air, I can take a little gander here what we got. I was going to actually kind of put it right here, but if I put it right here, it's gonna be in the way of our oil filter. So I had to run the O2 sensor on the passenger side up and over the transmission here, because I think the best case would be to put it right there. We do want it actually pretty close to like where our collector is, which is, that's pretty much where like our collector is. These are really super shorty headers, and the instructions say I think to have it within, you know, 12 inches or 10 inches of the exhaust, and it's kind of the closest place where I can put it. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick it right there, and the little piece that they gave us is still in the bed of the truck. I'm gonna have to grab a ladder to get it. So the kit comes with this little guy right here with a little gasket and the clamps to hold it on the tube. As you can see, it's curved like the tube. And then the O2 sensor. Sorry, I can't have nice things. And then I'll stick this guy just like so. The gasket and clamps provided, but I gotta drill the hole first. All right, the O2 sensor's in using the provided little bracketry system that, you know, Holley uses right here. I don't typically do it this way. I just weld a bung in the tube, but we might want to change the exhaust later down the road, and if we do that, you know, I can pull this off, and then that will be kind of the final exhaust, and then I can just weld this guy directly to the tube versus using these clamps. I mean, this will hold. It just doesn't look as pretty as, say, just like a welded bung, you know, but got the job done. So I'm going to pull the mechanical fuel pump off because it's no longer needed for the EFI system. The mechanical pump will not feed enough pressure to the EFI system. Typically these are really low PSI, you know, like, you know, 6, 8, 10 PSI roughly, but the EFI system needs around 57, 58 PSI of fuel. So we got to pull this guy off, and we're going to install a block off plate. Not really excited to do this because I'm going to get gas everywhere, but might as well do it now while we got the truck up in the air. So I'm going to start doing that now. All right, block off plate's all installed. You can check that out right there. See, all it really is literally, it's just a plate. What I gotta do is run a feed and return line for the EFI, but it looks like those are the holes, or the hole that it comes out of the cab. Again, I don't like that it comes out so close to the exhaust. I'm gonna have to get into the interior because, believe it or not, the fuel tank in this truck is actually behind the rear seat. So I'm gonna have to lower the truck back down, kind of get a bird's eye view of the tank, where that line goes. And hopefully I can kind of like redirect them, because like I said, I will really want to keep them away from this exhaust system, keep them away from heat, and then I might be able to route the fuel line on this side of the frame rail, poke it through there, maybe run it up through there, and then maybe mount like the fuel filter, or not the fuel filter, what am I saying, the fuel pump out here. So I'd rather do that than, because I mean, I can't really, even if I can't put the pump there because the cross member's in the way, I really don't want to put the pump there because it's just close to heat, because the exhaust system's right there. We'll see. Check out this seat scenario and go from there. I literally had to remove the seat, well, at least scoot it forward, this panel that covers this back piece behind the seat, and then voila, there's the fuel tank. So I gotta get this guy all set up for a feed and return for 6 AN lines. So, because the EFI gets a feed and a return. All right, got everything in the engine bay all buttoned up. Air cleaner's on it, all fully wired, fully plumbed, fuel lines hooked up in the back. Also upgraded the spark plug wires because the old spark plug wires that were on it really needed some help. One I found was burned on the header. By having these new ones, these cells with the ceramic on there, really is gonna help with the heat and they're not gonna get burned up. And also, it was definitely not running right, you know, from the get-go, just for having that one spark plug wire burned up. Now I got the interior all buttoned up, as you can see here. Seats all mounted. The return line is hooked up into the fuel tank back here. And down here, I got the fuel pump and the fuel filter all mounted on the firewall, fully wired. As you can see there, there's the feed line, goes into the pump, and then you can see the line above it is the return. Next thing to do is, let's fire it up, see if it runs. Got our little Sniper controller, dashy screeny thingy here. All right, air compressor turned on. I don't know if I can hear the fuel pump, but let's fire it up, see what happens. Oh, too easy, guys. Look at that. Too easy. Let's check it out here. Wow. That was a really easy install. This thing sounds so much better than what it did, like before with the carburetor. But then again, the carburetor I don't think was set right. Spark plugs were old, had that bad spark plug wire, but this thing is running 10 times better than what it basically was. So let's go drive it around. I'm just gonna let it idle right now. Let it get up to at least 160 degrees. That's what basically Holley is saying to do, like let it get to at least 160 and then drive it around so it can do its self-learn. 175, perfect. And this is looking good. We're idling at just about 900 RPM. AFR 13.5, 13.8. Let's cruise this thing around. Already running 10 times better. It's so much smoother. I know a lot of people have a lot of issues with this system, but I'm so far having none. This thing is running like perfect right now. Even before too, with the carburetor on it, it was running so fat, like it was reeking of gas inside the cab. I'm not smelling like any gas whatsoever. When it had the carburetor on it, it was weird, like it had a little flat spot. When you would first hit the gas, it would like run, and then it would have like it would choke itself like a little bit, and then it would get up and go. There's no flat spot like whatsoever. This feels really good. All right, Holley EFI Sniper kit done on the C10. I'm so surprised at how well that thing runs. Like it just runs so good right out of the box. Still got to do some self-learning and minor little tuning adjustments. I'm not like really the best with that, but I have some friends that are willing to help me out. But super easy install. I followed the instructions to a T and it runs super good, guys. This is not a promotion by Holley. I'm not sponsored by Holley, but it works. It works really good, surprisingly. So I had a good time with it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to like leave a comment. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll do my best to answer any questions and comments that you have and all that good stuff. So on to the next video. Thanks again for watching.